First of all, the Jattis are a unique feature of the Gitananda Parampara, and all yoga traditions have their own unique features. So we respect the traditions and the unique features. Even today, we had a marvelous session by Swami Bharat Bhushan in our Yoga Chikitsa cycle program. Uh, for those who don't speak Hindi, you will not be able to understand it because it was fully in Hindi. But Nilachal is making a summary that will be available soon. And in his system of Bharat Yoga, also, they have a series of movements that can help the person get ready for other yoga practices. In the Dhirendra Brahmachari system, there are the Stula Vyayama, Sukshma Vyayama. In the Svyasa teachings, the Shitala Karana Vyayama. The Satyananda school has what they call the Pavana Mukta series. So there are these practices in different traditions which are usually used as preparatory practices. Now, in the Gitananda system, the Jatis are more than preparatory practices because they are units of movement. So the definition of a Jati is a unit of movement. And the units of movements are like your letters in the alphabet. So just like letters become words, words become sentences, the Jatis are the building block for the Kriyas, which are systematic rational movements that then enhance our understanding when it comes to asana and other practices. So we can say that Jatis are a way for us to get to know our body better, get to know how coordinated we are, because if you're trying to do the Jatis and you don't have coordination skills, you will really get to know it. And as Swamiji says, the first awareness is of the awareness of the body. So he says, awareness of the body is the first awareness. Awareness of the emotions is second. Awareness of the mind is the third. And awareness of awareness itself is the fourth level of awareness. But then Param Pujya Ammaji, our beloved Ammaji, she created the fifth dimension, which is a zero dimension before the four. So you have a zero along with the four. Swamiji didn't have the zero. He had 1, 2, 3 for body, emotions, mind, and awareness of awareness. But Ammaji, when she was studying with him in 1968 in the 6-month course, what she did was one day she went up to Swamiji. Swamiji most of the time didn't wear a top. He just wore his dhoti, but he had his rudrakshas most of the time. And she virtually, if he had a collar, she would have caught hold of his collar. Okay. And she was like, Swamiji, I want enlightenment. I want this liberation. I want this moksha. You know, she was really after him. And he said, Meenakshi. I don't know if she was yet Meenakshi at that time, but still had an American name. Okay, was Barbara, for those who don't know, because Divya brought the secret out. Okay, so Swamiji most probably said Meena by then. He said, will you first take yourself off my toes? She was virtually standing on his toes while asking him for liberation and enlightenment. And he said, you don't even know that you are standing on my toes, hurting me as you ask this question, and you want the highest level. And at that moment, Ammaji said, the first awareness is of how unaware we are. We need to first become aware of how unaware we are. That is where yoga begins. So I'm giving you a little bit of the history of how that came. So when we do the Jatis, we start to realize how unaware we are of the body. We start to realize how unaware we are of the right side and left side. I have been in medical conferences with surgeons who operate on people's brains, and I say, shake the right hand, and I see the left hand shaking. I'm scared. Which side of the brain are you operating on? We have an Indian movie that came out of an American surgeon making a mistake, operating on the wrong side of the brain. And the person got compensation and had a nice time in America. It's an Indian movie. Huh? I am sure that you'll get a lot of money if that happened. But I am surprised with dentists. I often go to dental conferences and right hand and the left goes up, left hand and the right goes up. I'm up and they are down. I'm like, which third, tooth are you going to take out on the right or the lower jaw or the upper jaw? Extract which tooth? These are educated professionals because remember, education is no guarantee against stupidity. That is a typical Anandaism. Education is no guarantee against stupidity. And I have met more stupid people who have PhDs. Sorry to all of you who have PhDs out there, but I have met more stupid people who have PhDs than stupid people who don't have education. And I have met more intelligent people without education than with PhDs. I'll tell you that from my experience in life. Education is no guarantee because education is only one component of our skill. Life is 360 degrees. And I tell you, you find the greatest sports people, and even in these people who must have kinesthetic awareness, proprioceptive awareness, people who should know spatial and temporal aspects, being athletes, even they get confused when you do Jattis because that awareness is not there in the body. And so don't take it for granted. It is like the same thing when people start pranayama in most classes. First class, Nadi Shodhana. I'm like, the person doesn't even know what their fingers are or what their nose is. They don't know how to breathe at all. And you have already taught them the pranayama. And you have people doing this. It's a finger nose exercise. It's not even pranayama. Because there's no breath moving, there's no prana moving. And that is why we have to start where we are, ground zero. Ground zero of awareness. Remember that, ground zero of awareness, where we realize we don't have awareness and we start to develop this awareness of our body, how it can move, how that movement can be synchronized with the breath, how there is up, down, in, out, right, left, spatial and temporal awareness is developed. And that is a very, very vital aspect in one sadhana. Hence the importance on the Jattis. The other aspect of Jattis is that most of the time there are a lot of blocks, energy blocks. And these energy blocks are found at our joints. Amma used to very beautifully describe our joints as the corners of the building. She said, whenever you look into a room, all the dust will accumulate in the corners. The dust doesn't accumulate in the center of the room, it's in the corners. She said, similarly, all the toxins, all the mala, all the toxins, that is why in the Satyananda tradition, they do Pavana Mukta series. Because it is Pavan. Pavan as a toxin, as a mala there, in that connotation of Pavan. Now, that accumulation creates stagnation. So many of our joints are having stagnation of energy. Energy is not flowing properly. And when you do the Jattis, you are using your small joints of the fingers, the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder, the neck, the hip. Virtually every joint in your body is used in our Jati practices. Hence, you start to unblock all the blocks that are existing. So it is an unblocking technique where energy can start to move as it is meant to move. And what is that energy? The prana shakti. So this is why in the practice, the Jatis are not just loosening exercises. Yes, they loosen you up, you feel good. And then on top of that, these Jatis often have a lot of body language associated with them. For example, we shake up all the tensions, catch hold of your tensions, and Yes.
That was such a great face you had it frozen.
But I hope to get a screenshot of it because I saw all of you frozen. That is what happens. So coming back, when we do the jatis, there's a lot of body language. I hope you were getting that component of what I was saying. And in the body language, shake up, slacken, loosen up, let go, don't hold on to negativity. So there's a lot of body language that Amma brought into the jatis. When Amma would teach these jatis, and most of the present generation of teachers imprinted a lot on Ammaji, be it Deepika, Sangeeta, Kalavati, most of this whole generation imprinted a lot. And now some of them are sadly imprinting on me, which I don't really like. Ammaji is fine, Swamaji is fine. I am not yet the complete version. Okay, my version in the making. So, there are a lot of loose ends that need to be tied up. So wait till I tell you that you can imprint on me. But that happens with all teachers. So there's a lot of body language that Amma brought in because Amma had this uncanny wordsmith capability. And she would find these right words. She would find these right concepts. And she tapped into the human psychology. Amazing. She was not a psychologist, but she's given me more psychology than what I read in Divya's textbooks in the last 3 years of studying a Bachelor of Psychology with my daughter. Because I ended up studying it with her. Even now I'm learning all about aggression and about prejudice, and it's astonishing what these books have. So there's a lot of body language. So loosen up and take, let all these stuck things. She would say, all your tension is stuck to your fingers. Loosen it up. Loosen up that tension. Where it is hiding. See if it is behind you. See if it's up. Catch hold of it. Take in a deep breath. And now throw it as far away as you can. This type of body language is brought into it. So when somebody is beginning their Hatha Yoga sadhana, if you already have a lot of toxins, if you already have negativities, you have all these hang-ups, you have all these traumas, you have all of this, and you say, sit still for 15 minutes. It may be dangerous. It's like Swami Bharat Bhushan today. I was happy he said it. He said for many people, meditation may be dangerous. Because if already they are depressed and already there's a negativity and already they are, on an anti-self mode, and you say, sit and contemplate the self, you have just pushed them in the wrong direction. They need to go out. That is where the jatis bring about a beautiful neurological, psychosomatic equilibrium. Hence, a lot of importance is given here. So anyway, this gives you an idea why the jatis are there. And I think it's about time that I put out a separate book on the jatis of the Gitananda tradition, because that is one thing I have not discussed. And so maybe Deepika, Sangeeta, Kalavati, Jnanadev, Anandi will get this team together. And if any of you wants to volunteer, let them know and come up with something, because there's just so much there. Over the years, Amma really developed. Jatis are very much a creation of Ammaji. Swamiji had a very basic model. Ammaji really over the last 50 years. This is 5 decades, okay? This was not yesterday. 5 decades, she developed this beautiful system. Lot of it working with young children. So there's a lot of play element in our jatis. Our jatis have a lot of play element because both Ammaji and I have used it extensively. Since 1993, I have used it with the children. Well, that's 31 years of using it with children. Ammaji from 1975, using it with the kids at Kamli Swami Madam. So there's a lot of play. And again, it keeps the attention. They are short units. Most of them are doable. So, again, you give something to people that they can do. It's like an icebreaker in a session. Whenever I go to conferences, the talks that I give, if I start off with a few rounds of jatis and then give my talk, I end up with a standing ovation at the end. If I don't do it, I just get some claps at the end. So, it again breaks the ice, relates you to people, lets them know that you too are human being, and you are not one of these great saints on stage. It is very good. You are down to earth, you are accessible, you are, you are approachable, and you also have a sense of fun. It's a beautiful way to start a session, keep the sessions going. So Jattis really are so useful. And yes, as Don has said, moved the needle for them. So true. Whenever I go into classes and I find people at our hospital, patients of mental illness, where they love the Jattis. I tell you, it's just astonishing what you can do in a psychiatric ward. There's an article online, Finding Peace in a psychiatric ward, finding peace in a psychiatric ward with yoga. And it describes the work we do, which has extensive Jattis that the patients sitting in the hospital bed can do. I tell you, it's astonishing. When we talk of accessible yoga, that is accessible yoga. So Jattis. The second one, yeah, even if you are flexible, because see, you may be physically flexible. Are you emotionally flexible? Are you mentally flexible? I know some people who are physically, rubber bands, and the most stiff people when you try to converse with them. I know that. I have people who can, touch the head to the tailbone in half a second. And then, you find them in life, and there's such inflexible people. So physical flexibility is no guarantee of emotional and mental and, of course, spiritual flexibility or social flexibility. And that is why this whole Instagram yoga craze, most of them have very nice personalities on Instagram. You meet them and you wonder if it's the same person or they have a clone, a dupe, a doppelganger doing it. I hope